We're now connected with Ibu Titi Anggraini, who is a member of the Board of Patrons for the Association for Elections and Democracy, or Perludem. Good morning, Bu Titi.
Good morning, Ibu.
Good morning, Mas Paul. Good morning, Mbak Carol. How are you?
Good,
thank you.
Happy Monday to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So let's have a little bit of a discussion with our first question. With the 2024 general elections currently already set, what are the next steps for the government and the People's Representatives Council?
Yeah, finally, after 1 year discussion between Election Commission, National Parliament, and also government, they reach political decision about the voting day for 2024 elections. You know that in Indonesia, we held election for legislative and presidential simultaneously. And it will be held in Wednesday, February 14, 2024. So let's have like a Valentine election in 2024. So voting days is a very important milestone for formulating election commission regulation that regulate more detailed stages, programs, and schedule. The election commission regulations regarding the stages, program, and schedules will serve as a reference for election organizers and also election participants in working to prepare for the 2024 elections. But also one thing that important is to ensure the availability of the budget. There will be no election without budget. With certainty about the voting day, the government and national parliament or DPR must ensure that there is a sufficient budget available for finance the 2024 general elections. Considering that in 2024, Indonesia will not only hold legislative and presidential elections simultaneously. In that year, we also will conducted regional head election or pilkada throughout Indonesia.
Would this be, would this be the first country that it seems that would, hold this election within the same year, Ibu Titi? And what is the purpose of the election to be, conducted in 1 year?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, for the first time in Indonesian election history, that beside conducting legislative and presidential elections simultaneously, in same year we also will conduct pilkada or regional head election in throughout in Indonesia.
Yes.
That's for the first time in our history. Why? The government and parliament decided to have election at the national level and also election at the local level in same year because we want to strengthen our presidentialism by having simultaneous legislative and presidential election. We are expecting to have like a quotal effect. Where voters will tend to choose the political party that nominates the president.
Correct.
They also vote. So thus the elected president will get adequate support in parliament. Then the president will find it is easier to realize his political programs and promises. So and also by having pilkada or local election in 1 year, the elected president and also the elected regional heads, regional heads, or what we call it kepala daerah, and then president and kepala daerah can work together in doing their programs and public services in one. In one spirits or in one direction.
Right. Yeah. So, Bu Titi, you mentioned budget earlier. Now, having this done simultaneously, is this going to affect the budget somehow?
Well, we need a lot of money to run this election. Based on the latest data submitted by the latest budget plan submitted by KPU or Election Commission, they are requested 112 trillion rupiah to finance the 2024 elections. It also created more challenges to our election. you know that in the same year we also will move to our new capital,
Right.
state capital in East Kalimantan. It also require much money, yeah. And at the same time, we also still what is it having we still face the impact of COVID-19.
Correct.
So it is become like a wide discourse and public discourse in our society about how much money we need to finance the upcoming elections.
Sure. That
But
makes sense.
I'm sure that election commission will try hard to to provide more simple format, so we don't need to spend like too much money for this election.
And it's good, the government itself already made, in the general election, already set the schedule on February the 14th for the simultaneously election. Thus far, because there's so many speculation, Ibu Titi, buzzing around that, there's going to be a delay, general election delay. And most prominent is the presidential term extension, or the current president right now to, undergo a third period. Would this end the speculation, Bu Titi?
Well, Mbak Carol, we are in a democratic life with freedom of expression guaranteed by the Constitution. I'm sure that there will always be people or groups who will take advantage of the opportunity to discuss the presidential term extension or postponement of the 2024 elections.
Correct.
But at least by having an election date, we have taken more concrete steps regarding the implementation of the 2024 elections, especially the presidential elections.
Yes.
Ideally, all parties, all groups must end the discourse about the presidential term extension and postpone the elections, because it is very counterproductive for Indonesian democracy. It is better for all elements of the nation to focus on participating in preparing for the 2024 elections, so that it will take place well and successfully. But as I mentioned earlier, we cannot stop people or group to have opinion in our public sphere.
Agree. Looking forward to a positive election. Now let's talk a little bit about the presidential threshold, Bu Titi. Currently, it's, I believe, set at 20%. With the simultaneous election, is this still needed to have a presidential threshold? There's been calls for it to be reduced to 0%.
Mas Paul, in Indonesia, it's so unique, yeah. Unique, the tense of unique, I think more like a negative than positive. There is a requirement that the president can only be nominated if political party or a coalition of political parties has minimum 20% of the seats in the national parliament.
Correct.
Or national house, DPR, or 25% of the valid votes from the result of the last national parliament election. And this is only applied in Indonesia. So it creates like discrimination among the political parties that as a election contestant. And for me, in my personal opinion, because we are conducting simultaneous election, it is not relevant to have a presidential nomination threshold, because you will create discriminative action to the political parties as a election contestant. And the second impact of the presidential nomination threshold, Indonesia is very diverse.
Yeah.
With so many political parties. We are implementing a multi-party system. But can you imagine, with more than 250 million population, we only have 3 pairs of candidates for presidential election. And since 2014, we only have 2 pairs of candidates. And it creates what we call it disintegrative polarization among our society. It decrease or make our civic culture working not so good in our society. You didn't value the government by its performa or by its work, but based on your political choices, you support or you are not don't support the government based on your political affiliation, and it's downgraded our democracy quality in Indonesia.
We've seen that, as Paul had stated, hopefully there's, a lot of good signs and success also during this election itself. Now, Ibu Titi, regarding of the simultaneous election, in your opinion, how can it be successful and what would be the challenges as the commencement will be on February and also November of 2024?
Well, for the national election, the 2024 simultaneous election will be our second experience in conducting legislative and presidential election simultaneously.
Correct.
But the 2024 election as well as the 2019 election will be very difficult and complex, because we will hold legislative election and presidential election simultaneously, and in the same year there will also be regional election in November. The hard work for the election officials made in the 2019 election, there were it's a sad story ya Mbak Carol, 894 polling station officers who died, and
Right.
more than 5,000 others were sick. So the biggest challenge is how the election commission, and also supported by government, makes election simpler and easier so as not to cause fatigue for the officers. And also how we reduce the challenge of disintegrative polarization
Yes.
in 2024 presidential election, because we still implement the requirements of presidential nomination threshold, which is in my calculation,
Correct.
there will be no more than 3 pairs of presidential candidates in 2024.
And we remember the post-election syndrome after the
Yeah.
2019-2020 election. Remember how everything's just like Ibu Titi said, it was polarized. Even the people,
Yes.
within families, within friends, it was
Yeah, I
just so
remember that.
polarized. And it's
Yeah.
just so hard to get everyone grouped together again as a nation itself.
I have groups of friends that were very close that became not close because
Right.
of their differences of opinions as well.
Yes.
One of the things that happened, Butiti, in our previous election was that, much like we've seen in the United States as well, social media became a battleground for the political candidates. But
Yeah.
the downside to
Yeah.
that, we had plenty of hoaxes,
Correct.
hate speech as well. In your opinion, should there be any sort of legal basis regarding campaigning on social media, or is the existing laws already enough?
Well, we decided not to change the election law for the 2024 election. It is a political decision between a government and political parties in parliament. Why they don't want to revise or change the law? Because they want to secure their interests for the 2024 elections. The bigger party wants to make sure that the presidential nomination threshold still exists, and the small and medium party wants to they want to make sure that the parliamentary threshold is not increased for the 2024 election. So it's like a elite the rational choice of the elites in our parliament and government. But how we fix all the residue or damage that we face from the 2019 elections? First, I think we need all the commitments from all the political parties leaders to have a good manner, a good campaign manner,
correct.
and focus more on vision, mission, and ideas, not using the religion as a factor to attract the voters and doing political identity approach. So the first thing we need is the goodwill from the political parties leaders to educate the public by offering the vision, mission, and ideas. The second one is, I think the ministry and state institution in Indonesia need to work together in have a massive digital literacy to the public. Sometimes we distribute the news just because we don't know the fact on the news,
Yeah.
and we don't have like enough or sufficient digital literacy in doing activities in social media. I think the law enforcement is the last approach, yeah, Mas Paul and Mbak Carol, because sometimes there's a tendency among the voters that the law enforcement only apply for the opposition, not for the government supporters.
True.
And that opinion or that assumption will make the disintegrative polarization
Even
worse than before.
Yes,
You're
and I love what
right.
Ibu Titi has just stated right there. Ibu Titi's statement was a goodwill by the political leaders,
Yeah.
and that is the hard core of it. You have to have that, empathy to your people itself. Hopefully, we had a good election.
Sometimes you start off wanting to do that, but then in the heat of battle, things get said and
Right.
misinformation.
It will
gets passed
always be
around.
that. But
Right.
if you envision your program, so then your program first and your goals and your set mind would be up front, then people would not see, all those controversial details behind of it. Now, again, Ibu Titi, in 2024, a lot of eligible voters will be from the Generation Z. So it means also they probably want to say they want to see a more diverse candidate. So do you think this election will be different compared to our previous elections before?
Mbak Carol, it is very interesting, yeah, because in last population census conducted by Central Statistic Bureau of the Republic of Indonesia, there is a finding that more than 27% of Indonesian population are Gen Z, and then including plus more than 25% are millennials. So more than 50% of Indonesian upcoming voters will be young voters.
Correct.
I think it will make our election more colorful, yeah, with
Yes.
the discourse and also with the activity on social media. I think we need more focus how we invite the young voters to talk about politics, but not only about the politics, but also how the political parties give us alternative on the their vision, mission,
Yes.
and ideas. So we need more direct discussion forum with political parties, and political parties can use social media to have more close and intensive communication with the voters. Unfortunately, social media in Indonesia more used by the voters to talk about the negative sentiment.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't really use the social media to talk about the ideology of the political parties, the vision, the mission, what the programs. So now maybe Southeast Asia Morning Show can also invite the young voters in Indonesia to discuss more about the programs and also the vision and mission of the political parties.
Well, we're certainly happy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bu Titi.
I'm optimistic that in 2024, because we don't have incumbent, the competition will be more
Exactly.
competitive and
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
Because all the political parties right now, they have a roadshow to meet with the potential candidates and mostly from the regional leaders to find the best candidate that can attract the voters.
And,
Right.
since you said over 50%, that is actually very positive to see over 50% of young voters. Do you think that will help reduce dynastical politics here in Indonesia?
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, the young politician also part of the political dynasty in Indonesia. you know, Mas Paul, that Indonesian election is one of the most expensive election in the world. So you need much money to run in election. And usually the people with much money and good electability come from the political dynasty family.
Yeah.
So they have like, since the beginning, they have the privilege to win the election. They have money and also they have popularity. But I think by having good voters with good intention in programs, we can expect that there will be like a strong relation between voters and their candidates. So let's start by having strong voters to deal with the candidates. At least, although we have a list of political dynasty family, but at least they don't come with a blank vision,
Yeah.
but they have like good vision for the voters.
That's true. And then I
Right.
think one voter's most important weapon that they can have is that information. And I think information is all over out there for us to just, as long as we just do our research and vote smartly, I think we'll get the right people in the positions that we need them in.
Yes, thank you
Butiti,
very
thank
much,
you so
Ibu Titi,
much.
for your time. Hopefully, we're gonna talk a lot more with you.
I
I'm
hope
pretty
so.
sure in a couple of months.
Yeah,
coming
it's been
in.
very insightful speaking
Yes.
with you. Thanks so much for sharing with us as well.
Have a great Monday, Ibu Titi.
Have a
Thank
good week.
you.
Thank
Stay safe.
you.
Have a great Monday.
Bye-bye.
Morning. See you. Bye-bye.